Welcome, gamers, to episode 1 of Second Front, a game by Microprose. It's actually a game just built by two developers, like an art developer and an actual, a coding developer. It's incredible what they've done. These small teams now that sort of come out with these incredible games. It's really, really heartening to sort of see what can actually be done with such sort of, with such streamlined resources, human resources in this sort of sense. And this game is really going to be, I think, one of the exceptional games of the year. There's certainly a lot of things I would love to see in the game, and I think the lack of people being able to sort of put the manpower into making the changes will mean that we don't get things like random map generators or procedural campaigns all that much. But having said that, at the moment, I like what I see, and I've played a fair bit of it. When I first started playing it, like yesterday, I've only really just got the playtest version. This is not, by the way, the game is not released yet. I don't know when the game will be released. This is literally just a bit of a sneak peek at what the game currently has, where it is, and I think the devs are just trying to sort of get a bit of feedback on how the game actually plays. The game is difficult, I've got to say, and I think it does need to be a little bit easier, particularly in the earlier missions, just so that people actually get used to how to play the game. And also, I've got to say, when I first started playing the game, I wasn't exposed to enough of what the game actually brings. I really think that there needs to be a tutorial mission separate to all the other scenarios that actually does the tutorial and actually shows what each unit actually does do, even if it takes a bit of time to do it. Or it may be splitting up into a few different tutorials to just literally show how infantry work in different ways, how how the tanks work, how the guns work, how mortars work, etc., etc. Just so you get a bit of a feel for how things actually do play in the game. Because it's really exceptional, when you first start playing it, like with the very first scenario. Like if I just go back and click on play and through here, the first scenario is just literally a infantry battle, and it's quite. I was underwhelmed when I started playing it. I thought, this is not what I thought the game was going to be. But the more I played it, the more I realised it was what I wanted. Like the game does actually. It's much better than just this first mission. The first mission was just to try to get a few concepts across about the way that infantry worked, but it didn't explain that, and it needs to sort of be very explicit to say, here's baby steps. Here's the baby steps of how infantry works, and the next one you come across, here's a bit more in depth. Fortification works in the actual game, like the different ways of sort of fortifying yourself. So it does introduce concepts, but it doesn't explain that that's what it's doing. So it sort of, for me, initially, would have been very easy for, like, if I wasn't passionate about what I'm expecting from the game, I probably would have just given up. Like after the first mission, thought, it's not really the game for me. But then the more I played it, the more I love it, and so I'm just getting right into it. And we're going to be playing just one mission through this one, and I'm going to be spending a lot of time just explaining how the mechanics work, so that you can sort of make up your own mind if it's a game that you will be looking forward to or not. So we're going to be playing the Ford, and I've played this one 5 times, I think. I've won it twice and lost it 3 times. This is quite a difficult scenario. There is a RNG component to it, but it's not an RNG component that has really frustrated me. Like there's been times when I thought, there goes the game, and like certain things will actually happen. Like a gun might malfunction at exactly the wrong time, or one of your units that should have been able to easily beat another one of the enemy units, in some sort of melee combat, ends up sort of everything gets reversed. But these sort of games are very much games where you've got to manage that RNG aspect to it. You've got to expect it's going to happen at some point. Sometimes you'll be lucky and other times you won't be. It's probably slightly on the too much RNG side for me, just a little bit. But overall, I'm actually very impressed with it. Like, the way that the mechanics work in the game, it's really, really quite solid. As I said there before, the big thing I really would love in this game would be more procedural generation in terms of the way that the map would the way that you could have like either random maps, random scenarios, random campaigns. I would love to see a system, and I think it will be coming. I haven't seen it in this build, but a system of campaigns where you actually have the same forces just going from scenario to scenario through the actual, like stepping through a more in-depth sort of campaign where you've actually got to really look after your forces to be able to break through into the next phase. I would love to see these sorts of things added to the game. The AI in this game is very, very good, and so for me, I don't know why there isn't any procedural generation in terms of these scenarios, because The AI is so good, it could actually handle it fairly easily from what I can see. Like, it actually looks very, very good. Anyway, let's just get into playing the game, and then we'll come back at the end of the series to talk about what the actual game has got. So let's just go and get playing. This is the scenario of the fort. I should have shown you the different units that were in this particular scenario, but anyway. We'll have a look anyway on the actual game itself. In fact, I will do that. I might just go back out. Let's just quit the game. I'll just get rid of those, and we'll talk about that in just a minute. So we'll just go back and quit the game again. We'll just go back to play. The forces. This actually shows you what you've actually got. Now, the cards that you see through here for the different vehicles are really quite cool the way it sort of does work. These are... and some of these things I still don't fully understand, but you've essentially got like different sorts of machine guns. Like you've got a turret machine gun, a BMG. I think it's from the, I think it's fires from the front. I forget what that's called actually, but you can see there you've got a few BMGs. You've got turret machine guns in through this side. This one here you got like a flampanzer, so you got like a flaming weapon at the front through there. You've got other things. You've got sort of like different sorts of like you've got long turreted, but only 20 millimeters. This is a 50 millimeter sort of medium turret, and another 20 in through there as well. 20 long. So I think there's an anti-air attack. So you've got two of these vehicles, one each of those. You've got a captain and a first lieutenant. This is their morale factor that they sort of give, and this is sort of like a bit of a bonus that they can provide to the actual troops that they're with. You've got like medium machine guns. This is a range of 24. The weight is 2, so it's not super heavy, and it does like it's got a firepower of 5 in this instance. You've got two light machine guns as well, which have got a range of 16. They only have a firepower of 3. This 17 and 33 that you see through here is, and the same up through here, the 33s, a 50 in through this side, is a percentage chance they're going to be able to reload and keep on firing in the actual game. And there's, again, RNGs do kick in very, very strongly with that, so just be aware of that one. So I heard the music playing in the background and wondered what it was. It's the music from the game. Anyway, we've got 5 veteran units, so we've got veterans coming in. Now the class of units is fairly simple. Like you can sort of see through here. This is the range that they actually have, a range of 12. They've got a movement of 6, so a movement factor of 6, and through this side. So you've got 5 full veteran squads, and this is a half squad. And so the half squad has got a range of 8, so it doesn't fire quite as effectively, and it fires at half the actual ability, I guess, of the others. So we've got 1 half and 5 veteran units back and through this side. This is their morale factor, is my understanding with the epaulets, sort of how it sort of does work. As we scroll on down, we're against a Russian force down through here where we've got like a captain which is extremely strong, with heaps and heaps of morale with those different epaulets. 2 other corporals or something along these lines where they just add support to what's going on. 10 regular troops. They've got a medium machine gun. You can see there the difference. Theirs doesn't have quite the range of the German machine guns and double the weight of the actual machine guns itself, and doesn't do quite the damage. But I'm not sure what the 4% is through there as well. Don't know what that 4% relates to. We can see that in game. We'll see if we can figure out what that one actually is. This one here, the irregular forces have got lower range than ours, and they're regulars, whereas ours are veterans. So we can have a range between, like it can go from green to regular to veteran to elite, are the different classes that you actually then have, and they then fight differently accordingly. In this case, these have got a range of 8. Still got the same movement there of 6. The firepower is the same, so it's about the same in through there. Now I'm not exactly sure how this one works, but I think that this is their morale factor, which may be tied into their captain. If you have a bit of a look, ours has only got like ours, we do have a 3 there, but ours is only showing 2. So I'm not exactly sure how that one does work. So this is morale. So their morale is much, much higher than ours, but we've got more ammunition. And again, I'm not sure exactly how or why that kicks into the game. I haven't sort of seen anything about that one. Anyway, that's just a bit of an overview as to what we're going to be finding. So let's get into it. We were loaded in, and as I say, the game has always got the same setup at the start, and this is where I would love to see things working. Now, one thing with the game, which I found very, very confusing when I started playing it, was that all of the tutorial tips all pile up at the start. just showing you what to do. Now I'm just going to skip past all of this because I've read through them. I sort of know what to do, but it goes through everything that you might need to do, including later on. Like what what you've got to look for, how things are going to be sort of then working, rotating turrets, etc. So it goes through the whole lot. Instead of just having like a dedicated tutorial like this, it's overwhelming the way it sort of does work. And so for me, it doesn't work very effectively. It also doesn't tell you at the start that you can always just go back and reload these at any time to sort of read if you do need to read it. And it is important information. Also, the help file at the moment in the game is not really the phases and actions. These are the phases and actions back up into here, but these aren't even mentioned. So there's stuff that's in here that doesn't really help. Like actually that's the jam chance. Okay, so they had a 4% jam chance. Is what we sort of saw in through there. That's the jam chance there, I think, as well, in the actual tanks themselves. Rifle and machine guns. It just gives you the different bonuses. These are still valuable to look at. It's just a little bit thrown together at this stage. I'm sort of finding back in through here. Keyboard commands, it's not very many, like it's a fairly simple game to play. And then the different terrain types, this is really cool. There's just so much that you can actually then sort of play in the actual game itself. There's one that's missing, which is the Ford, which is what we're going to be playing in through here. So anyway, that's a bit of an overview of the game. A few other little things we can sort of see. This here is a line of sight tool, which if we press the F, we sort of can bring that one up. And no matter where I hover, I can then sort of see what they can see, what different areas of the map can then see. This is really quite a useful tool to sort of see what's viable in terms of being able to fire at different things or protect your own forces. So you can sort of see what can see you and what you can see from different aspects of the actual game itself. So that's actually quite nice. Just press F again just to undo that one. This one here is the victory points. Now we need to at least get some victory points before the game ends, and there's 60 victory points in through this side. You can see VPL 60. We need to, and the way it works is that after you've got, like, each side has its own turn, and each side has 5 phases per turn. There's quite a bit that does go on in the game. It almost seems too complex, but it actually works. The more you play the game, the more you think, yeah, this actually works really well. But the first time you play it, having so many different phases and that they do so many different sorts of things is almost makes it too complex. Because the game has a feel of being a bit of a beer and pretzels type game, but it's actually a bit beyond that because of this sort of system. So it's slightly more complicated than what you want. Back in through here, we actually have like a cycle through the building floor. So I can either click on this one where the roof will then come off, or click it back on again eventually, and the roof will then come back on. I actually like having these, just with the top turned off. I can press the tab to do the same thing, just so I can see what's inside there. Now, when they've got question marks, it means we don't know what's there. Now, we happen to know that at the start of the game, there was 1 machine gun from the enemy plus 10 regular troops. So we're seeing, and plus there are also going to be some commanders. We don't know where the commanders are explicitly at this point in time. When I hover over a unit like this, that's the firepower that they actually have. That's the range from their firing. And so, again, what I would like to see in here is more explicitly where the half, where it sort of goes from full to half, I think would be very, very useful. And also an indicator of after they do one reaction, I think some of them can actually get like a second reaction phase in through here as well. You don't really get to see the range of that one. So there's different range factors that would be useful to actually have when you're playing the game. So these are all things that I hope at some point will be added to the game. But overall, the user interface is very, very well thought through. Other things we can sort of see through here, I don't know what the temperature is. I don't know sort of how that one sort of works. I haven't played with that one. The options, there is actually a manual which is separate to this help file. That's actually fairly well fleshed out, but still actually at this point in time still being worked on. But that's really quite a nice little manual that they've actually got. Now, one thing we have to be careful of, so we'll just get into the actual game itself. Now, when I hover over, you can also then see what is actually coming back over through here. So when I hover over here, these are Fords in through this side with a wall on the side of it. So we've got like a wall aspect up against the bridge. So we do have a bit of protection this way. against different things. If we sort of in that area, this one here has got a road, a wall, and then water underneath, or water in through there. So we can't go through there. The bridge has been broken, so we have to cross the ford. That's actually sort of where we have to go. This is just water, so no units can go back out through there, and that's all water down through that side. We've got more water down this way, a little bit more forward, and some marsh land over through this side as well. We've got some water with some marsh in that way as well. And then finally up through here, we've got like rocks on the ground. These are sort of like, these can obstruct the field of fire. We've got woods, we've got brush in through there as well, which will obstruct our actual firing. So anyway, let's get into it. The first thing we need to do really is to try to sort of get rid of this machine gun. That's going to cause us a lot of damage. So we need to do as much as we possibly can to eradicate that. And we have a few different units that can actually hit that one already. Like if we go and sorry, I didn't talk about the 10 different phases. First of all, it's our turn to have a shot. Then it's the Russian turn. And the way it works is we've got 5 phases per turn. We have a move and fire phase where we can move. They can do reaction fire while we move around, and so we've got to be very, very careful of that. So we almost want to be triggering certain things when it's appropriate to do that one. But like if we need to sort of then move vulnerable units into particular locations, we just have to be careful how we sort of handle that one. Anyway, move and fire is what we can do. We can move our forces and then fire. We can't, if we fire, we can no longer move. The next phase that's coming up is then a fire phase from the enemy. So the Russians will then have a turn to fire at us. Then there's like if there's any units that become broken, they will then run. And we can then sort of try to sort of bring them back, or actually they'll just do their running. They'll run away from the front. Then there's like an assault phase where you can sort of move your forces. You know, like your foot soldiers can move one more in that particular phase, and that's quite interesting to see how the AI makes good use of that. And then finally there's sort of like any melee combat. We will then sort of do any melee combat, and also then try to get anything that did break and run, try to sort of bring them back under control if at all possible. And usually you'll need to have some sort of commander in to actually do that one. You can see there that Colonel Terashenko in that particular group in through there on the top left hand side. He would then sort of maybe, hopefully sort of with a unit that would then sort of be brought under control. That's sort of how the game does work. And then the Russians would then have their move and fire phase. We'd have our reaction fire. So you've got to be thinking ahead, really, that what you think may happen across all these different phases. And we only have the 6 turns to sort of then go and get the objective back up through this side. So the first thing we have to do is try to get rid of this machine gun, which has got a chance to keep on firing at our units and causing a fair bit of damage. The other units really have got like only a range of 8. So when we hover over, for example, this one here, we can then sort of see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So it's going to be doing a lot of damage within closer range, but not really at long range, whereas this one here has a much broader range of damage that it can then cause. So that's the one that we have to really focus on. So I'm going to start off with a tank. So this tank down through here, there's a whole lot of different status effects that we can see through this side. So we've got down through this side, we've got the smoke dispenser, which we won't use just yet. We have the engine is either on or off. At this stage, it's actually off, so we can turn the engine on. Now, when we turn the engine on, it then makes the tank less. It's going to have less abilities to sort of then fire. It's going to be more inaccurate. And also we can button up as well. At the moment we actually have this little indicator is showing that the commander is not buttoned up. In fact, you can see him there, like unbuttoned. And so he is unbuttoned, which makes him a bit more vulnerable to firepower. But he's in his turret. The turret itself is what's down through here. Very, very strong turret. So he should be able to sort of be okay. You can see there you've got the I think it's the base machine gun, or the I forget what the B stands for. Anyway, if it's facing the right way, I can actually do different shots. Now, if I have that one selected and then hover over there, and if I do a right click through here, there's a whole range of different things that I can do. I can either button back up again. I can use just the turret machine gun. The base machine gun does get a chance to sort of fire as well, but the turret machine gun, you can see there, it's got like with aiming against the against that unit there. There's an 8% chance with those 2 exclamation marks means we break the unit, and there's a 7% chance we can pin the unit. So that's actually nothing too bad. This one here is like this machine gun is actually a lot worse off. By the way, the 2 little red areas that are sort of showing up through here are showing that it has to fire through brush and into the woods, then be able to get it. So it's a bit more difficult. Now we can go to all and sort of go and fire both of them and get like a 13% chance and a 9% chance. So we will try that one. We also have a chance to actually do a shot where we just essentially just fire the gun. Now there's a 1% chance the gun will malfunction when we actually try that one, and there's a 33% chance, as you can sort of see down the bottom through here, where if we do fire at it, we're going to be able to then reload and have another shot. So we've sort of got to hope for that one. Now if we use this one here, there's only an 8% chance we're going to be able to break the unit, and we do want to break the unit. That's essentially what we do want to do. And so it's essentially we've got like a 42% chance to actually sort of get into the area, like a hit chance, and then a lowish chance if we're just doing an area attack. If we do this one here, we're specifically aiming at the thing, so we've got a less chance to actually get the hit, but a probably more reasonable chance then of actually getting the break. And so I'm going to start here. There's also a 2% chance that we can kill the unit completely, a 6% chance it will kill half of the unit, and a 12% chance that will actually pin it down. So I'm going to go that way. So we'll just go and fire initially. So we fired and we missed, and it didn't reload, unfortunately. So that's our turn with that particular unit. Let's go to this unit now. Now this unit is unbuttoned, and when we have a look at this guy, I don't want to be moving off because it does make it so much more inaccurate. When I hover over this one, we have a different symbol that we can sort of see through this side. We actually have like a button up one, but we also have this one here to rotate the turret. So at the moment, the turret is not rotated towards this particular hex. So if we just go back across, sorry, and I'll just hover that one and rotate the turret, it then rotates the turret around. And now we can fire, and again, we have like a 4% chance that this is going to not really work. 33% chance that we'll get to fire again, and a 7% chance of either breaking or pinning the particular unit. Let's just go that way. So we missed again, and we didn't get another chance to fire. So that was a bit of a shame. But we still actually have our machine guns. Actually, I forgot to use the machine guns from the other group as well. So we have a second firing in through this side. Let's just see 8% chance of actually doing of breaking it. We broke it. So that 8% chance, we actually did roll that 8% that we required to actually get that one done. Now that is broken. There's no real need to go and do any more with that one. This one here, I do actually have another shot using these machine guns. Now we've got the commander is in here as well. I think with the 13%, I've got a 14% there to actually do a half kill. But I think I'd prefer to be trying to break these units if I can. So let's just go with all the machine guns firing. And we missed that one. It's only low percentage chances, but that's good. We did what we had to do here. Now they're going to run away from that location. They'll drop that machine gun because it's heavy, and they'll just make a run for it. Now that's something we can then pick up with our units. Now we still actually have different units back in through this side. If we now have a bit of a look, we can see that when I hover over that one, we don't have any reaction fire. These guys still have reaction fire down into this particular area through here. That one there also does. So both of these will do reaction fire into this side. Let's try to suppress even more of these. Just do the 13% here with our actual medium machine gun. And again, there's a 33% chance that we're going to be able to then fire on this one. There's actually a 21% chance we can do some real damage here, but let's just go after this one here. So I want to break them if at all possible. Now we broke one of them, and we did reload this machine gun. So we get another shot. Probably not there. Let's go this way here. If we can break this as well. Now, stand is something that doesn't make a lot of sense in the game. Stand is essentially means that it's passed its morale check. Like it did actually have it wasn't a miss. It did actually land in around the actual troops, but then they had to roll a morale check to see if they actually passed the morale check. And in this instance, they didn't pass. They did pass. I think it should just say pass or passed or something like that rather than stand. But that's what stand does mean. And I couldn't find that anywhere in the game. I did need the like one of the PR people to actually tell me what that one was. So anyway, that's what that actually is. So that's now finished off its turn. We didn't get another 33%er in through that side through there. We can still actually drop the machine gun if we wanted to. That means we just leave it where it is and then sort of do other things, or we just leave the machine gun behind. But anyway, the machine gun did a good job there. We've now broken both of these, which is actually nice. So that commander will now run. This group will now run. This one is pinned. If I just go and unclick, I can then hover over that one. This one still actually has the ability to fire, and this one as well. What I want to do is, I don't know if I want to trigger the firing. I don't think I need to. These here, this one here is actually unbuttoned as well, and I think I'm going to button him up because so I'm just going to click on this little button across the side here. So he's now buttoned, and we're now going to move him into the water. So I'm going to move him up, and I'm going to keep the engine running. This is one thing I actually did wrong the first time I did it. If I keep the engine running, the next turn I get to move a little bit further than what I did this turn. And so if I turn off the engine, it means I've got to start the engine up again and then keep on moving, but I'm more accurate if I do that one. So let's just go and move. And there's nothing much that they can then go and do. I can have a shot through here. I do actually have a shot, but the chances, you can see there, if I do try to do this one, I'm getting a lot of negatives. I'm getting negatives because I'm buttoned up. I've got negatives because of the amount that I've moved. I've got negatives because I'm running the engine. Then I've also got to get through everything. So the actual chance of getting a two hit with the aim is extremely low, no matter what I sort of aim for. If I click on over to here, again, like if I got the hit, it would be great, but I don't actually have the ability to really get a two hit. Now the two little smoke in through there is indicating that the tank is still on the move. This one here is an interesting one because we can't button this guy up, and this is a very, very powerful unit to actually have in the actual game. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to leave it a little distance away. It can fire at long range. I'm going to actually move this one across, and I'm going to stop it here and let it fire and cover from this side of the tracks. So let's just move this one across, and we'll stop it there. And so I can actually then fire. I can move the turret around at different locations. I can actually hit that one through there at 13%. That one there, if I rotate the turret, probably don't want to be doing that one. I think we're going to have a much better chance. That one we have moved, so we do actually have a lower chance. Let's just go this way, rotate the turret. That turret then rotates around, and so it's 13 as well in through here. Let's just go for it. Now that has broken, and the gun is reloaded. Now, one of the interesting things with these sorts of guns is normally when you go back in again to re-click, it doesn't do it in this instance. So I think what I'll do is I've got a slight chance of fixing things up there. I think I might go this way now. And we missed in that case. This guy here can still actually do some shooting. So I'm going to go and move this unit in here, which has got like a commander and also a like another unit. I'm just going to walk it into this location. I think I'll leave the commander out, so we'll just get the veteran unit. So we're just going to select that one unit and see if we can trigger that fire. And just, they may not do it. Let's just go and do this. No, they're pinned, so they're not going to do it. That's okay. So I've now got two units back in through this side. They can move up to there, which will give them a little bit of firepower. We've still got both of these units essentially that can sort of then fire out this way. The one that moved doesn't really have the ability to do much firing. The other one has got like a little bit through there. Again, it's not really viable, so I think what I'll do is I might actually move this one into the water because I think that they're going to make a bit of a run for it. So let's just move this one across. So we're now moving into the ford. There's no reaction fire from any of these, and these guys over here can't see me. So they're going to have to move out into the open for us to then for them to have a bit of a shot. Now we still actually have this as well. And I'm going to be moving these up. Oh, hang on. Now that I've got to be careful. If I move to there, I then block off the Flamepanzer, and I definitely want to have this Flamepanzer out and about. So I'm going to move that one out and keep the engine running because I want it up and into the teeth of what these guys actually can then do. The Flamepanzer has got like a range. It's only got like a range of 2 or 3. I think it's really quite low, but we do actually have a little machine gun. Anyway, we'll leave that one where that is, and then we'll move this armoured car up as well. Again, I'm going to keep the engine running. So with all of these that go under the water here, I want to keep them sort of operational. We now have an area in behind, so we've still got the medium machine gun, which can sort of then operate. This guy here can actually move out, but I'm going to keep him where he is. I might move this commander up into here. Actually, I might not. Actually, I might move him out with this group. Let's move that that captain out that way, so he's actually with this particular force. This force I would like to have moved in there, but I'll let them sort of come back through. This one here, I'm going to go and offload the group that he's got in the that he's carrying. I think he's just got like a half squad in the back of his Jeep. So that comes out. Plus he has the commander there as well. So if I just go and click on the lieutenant, they can't move anywhere because this thing had moved its full distance. This one here can though. Now, did any of these? This one here doesn't have the range to be able to now reach that one. So it's only these that actually had that range. So let's now go and make use of this. Let's just go into here and offload. Now these we didn't move all the way, so I can actually now move this group of, they've got a light machine gun plus 2 veterans, and we'll just move them up into this location into here. Okay, so they're sort of in the woods as well, so they've got a bit of protection. This one's protected as well, and that's pretty much the end of our first turn. What I think I might do though is end this episode here, guys, and then we'll come back and so everyone has actually moved, and there's no one else that we need to actually sort of position anywhere. Like you can sort of see if they have something that they can do. For example, this one can fire on that one. It can technically fire there as well, but in reality, it's just not going to be worth it. So I'm just going to let that one stay where it is. If we have question marks on things, like for example, if I look in through here, these guys haven't been seen by the enemy, or if they have been seen, they don't know who they are. These ones have been seen, so they have spotted these, but this is very, very long range. All right, we'll come back in the next episode and continue on.